It's done. Willie rode out from the quiet corner where his car was left and put the phone on the speaker. I had to rent a tow truck for clarity. Send me $70 to the card later. Of course, Todd was talking reservedly because he was at work at that time. So, how did it go? Did he take? Not exactly. Willie didn't want to embellish. I left it in his glove compartment. Of course, I gave all the necessary instructions before that. But you know, Todd, what? I don't want to upset you, but I'm more than sure that he will throw it away at the first opportunity. If you don't want to upset me, why are you doing that? I don't want to get your hopes up. It would be much worse for you. I know, but still I'm hoping. Okay, till connection. I'll send the money. And he immediately hung up. Willie just shook his head with a sigh, picking up speed. Max didn't feel so tired long time ago. Constant workload was an ordinary part of his daily life, but sometimes he took on so much that at some point it brought him to a complete loss of strength. In such situations he would come home pale, exhausted, with an incredible desire in his head just to fall down somewhere and do nothing. He felt exactly like that on Saturday evening, or it is better to say night, since he returned home 15 minutes before midnight. He didn't even change the clothes. He walked straight into the living room in his work suit and promptly collapsed on the sofa, throwing his briefcase on the low table next to him. Having comfortably settled his head on the armrest, he threw both legs over the back of the sofa, finally releasing the tension that bound the muscles. He didn't feel any loneliness, just a huge tiredness, from which he even had a slight headache. To be frank, he never felt himself lonely. He just didn't have time for that. However, it often occurred to him that perhaps his work activity wouldn't be so stressful and exhausting if he didn't have to fight constantly for the leadership with their eternal competitor, Filmer Integrity Corporation. Max wasn't weak-willed or indecisive. He was an extremely strong personality with outstanding stress tolerance. But Fillmore family was not an ordinary competitor. His grandfather fought with them long before he was born, and as soon as he himself matured and came to a high position, he quietly joined this long-term confrontation, unable to stay away. When he was younger, he often thought how much more reasonable and productive it would be for all parties if Fillmore and Sherman families, two of the most powerful corporations in this industry, united and directed all their efforts to development and creative growth instead of trying to infringe on each other somehow. His views didn't find any response from his family, and over time he forgot about this naive idea, unwittingly drawn into a long-established system. Maybe he would stand up for his opinion if he had reasons for that, but there were no reasons, so he was simply following the canon, not quite understanding it, but also not seeing the urgent need to destroy it. Right now he was not worried by these questions at all. He was so tired that he felt only a pleasant emptiness in his head which was resolutely pushing away all heavy thoughts. Heading home, he was sure that he would fall asleep as soon as he ended up in a horizontal position, but oddly enough, he still didn't want to sleep. He wanted to change the clothes and eat something. And at the same time, he painfully didn't want to get up. 15 minutes later, he finally forced himself to do it and involuntarily caught his eye on the matte black paper picked out of the side pocket of his briefcase. He didn't remember such papers among his documents, and therefore he pulled out an unexpected object with some bewilderment. And for the first time in this endless evening he smiled good-naturedly, remembering the meeting with Willie. It seemed like several years had passed since then, although in fact only a few days. Max shook his head, surprised again at the atypical name, then moved to the kitchen to eat something before going to bed and at the same time throw the strawberry gift away. He lived alone in a large two-room apartment where everything suited his taste, and where he had to visit mainly at night. In general, he was satisfied with his life. The work to which he gave his all was his true vocation, and he didn't need more, at least he thought so. Of course he had women, but none of them hooked him so much that he wanted to connect his life with them. For the past 3 years he didn't go on dates with anyone at all, because he didn't want to waste time on another disappointment. Max was not one of those men who went crazy without sex. He was a wonderful lover, but sex without feelings didn't attract him too much. It was nothing more but an annoying game from which he instinctively pulled away, eventually returning to his usual secluded world, where he didn't need to deceive himself or others. After drinking a glass of juice, he went to the kitchen cabinet, where there was a trash can, and lazily leaned against the wall near the refrigerator. He didn't know why he was hesitating. It seemed like there was nothing to doubt about, that some strange, adventurous vacillation swarmed persistently in his head, gradually acquiring quite definite thoughts. Maybe I should really entertain myself, he thought unexpectedly for himself, and immediately went angry for such ideas. However, he was so exhausted that this anger couldn't be called serious. There was no true determination in it, rather the habit of always preserving dignity in everything. He sat down at the kitchen table, pulled a bowl of nuts closer, still looking at the flyer which he didn't throw away yet.